What's going on, hikers? In today's video, I'm going to be sharing 7 hacks with you that are going to make your life on trail a little easier, a little better, and just overall raise your quality of life while you're on trail out in the backcountry. That is our mission here on this channel. Speaking of, if you're new to the channel, my name's Jeremiah Stringer, and here we talk about all things hiking and backpacking. So if you're into that kind of thing, consider subscribing. That's what this whole channel is all about, increasing your quality of life on trail. So I was on a trip just last weekend with a buddy of mine, and while I was on the trip, I was like, what are some good takeaways I could get from this trip and share it with my viewers on YouTube in order to help them raise their quality of life on trail. So some of them I put to good use for me in the backcountry on that trip, and some of them I didn't use on this last trip, but I frequently use them, so I thought I'd share them with you today. Starting with number 1. Our first hack of the day involves this thing actually. You're like, what are you doing with this disposable plate? Well, I'm doing exactly what you would think. I'm eating from it. So let me tell you, it compacts very, very small. I stick it with another item I'm going to show you here in just a second, but I slide it down in the front of my backpack. You know, the part that's furthest away from my back is what I would call it. And fits perfectly, doesn't take up hardly any extra room. We made fajitas. I made steak fajitas, and my buddy Dan, he made chicken fajitas. Absolute lifesaver. And then once you're done with these, you can take it, literally just fold it up really small and stick it in your trash bag. I take a gallon Ziploc bag and keep all my trash in it, and then keep that in my food bag throughout the duration of the trip. Now this works especially well if you're doing overnighters. Now we were going out and we got there after work Friday and then left Saturday morning. Unfortunately, it was in 40 degrees and raining, but you know, that's okay. The disposable plates work super well as we were cooking our fajitas around the fire. Number 2 on our list today is a piece of Tyvek or a piece of Polycrow. And a lot of people use these as ground sheets or footprints for their tent. And I will take it sometimes if I have a tent and you know it doesn't come with a footprint. I'll take something like this to put down, and it adds an extra barrier, but that's not what I'm going to tell you about today. Today, I want to tell you the first thing out of my backpack is a piece of Tyvek or Polycrow because it gives me a nice, clean, dry place in order to put all of my stuff that I'm sprawling out of my backpack. Now, this Tyvek is white, so it creates quite the contrast as it's laying on the ground. It makes it a little bit harder to lose stuff, especially small items whenever I'm at my campsite. Everything has a central location. I don't have to worry about as much losing it. Now the Polycrow, if you're not familiar, I'll link it in the description. It's lighter than Tyvek. It doesn't absorb any water. And Tyvek, honestly, it's best to kind of wash it whenever you cut a piece. Wash it and dry it, and then it won't crinkle as much because, you know, you can hear there, that's going to be a little bit annoying to lie upon, especially if it's going to be your footprint at night. So the Polycrow, feel free to check it out. It's basically the shrink wrap stuff that you put around your windows, and you take a blow dryer in the wintertime, and it creates a little bit more insulation on your house, but nonetheless, you can buy it on Amazon, and both of these work great as little organization locations at your camp. Number 3 on our list today is your rain jacket. Now I won't go in depth on this particular rain jacket because that's not the point of the hack, but if you do want to check it out, anything that I'm talking about today I'm going to list in the description. But this is a Frog Togs, I think it's called the UL jacket. Not sure it's actually ultralight, but it's transparent and it's worked great for me. It's a step above the standard Frog Togs, a little bit more expensive though, and I use this, yes, in the rain, duh, but I also use it as my outer shell. So I lost quite a bit of weight, and it's been, ever since then, it's been harder for me to stay warm. You know, when you're in the woods, all you have is what you bring. So I have the rain jacket, and it adds another extra layer of warmth. You know, I'll put on all my layers, and if I'm still a little cold, still a little chilly, I'll throw that rain jacket on top. I also will sometimes, if I don't bring a fleece and I'm a little bit cold, a little bit on the cooler side, the cold side, then I'll put on my rain jacket while I'm backpacking over my just t-shirt or whatever shirt I'm backpacking in at the time. And that gives me one extra layer to help keep me a little bit warmer, and I didn't have to carry the weight of the fleece. Fleece meaning like a pullover quarter zip kind of sweatshirt type deal. Our 4th hack today it actually starts in the kitchen. And you probably already have one of these lying around. It's one of the little silver scrubbers. And you can clean dishes at home with them. You can also clean your trail dishes. I often, as I mentioned earlier, take real food with me on trail. That means I'm not just rehydrating something. I'm not just boiling water. I'm actually cooking, whether it's in a cook pot or a skillet or any of the sorts. And that food can get stuck on. So the little scrubber pad works absolutely perfect. Now, honestly, I did go full gram weenie on this. I weighed it and I think it was 14 grams. And I was like, nope, too heavy of an accessory. So I actually cut it in half, I believe with an angle grinder, if I'm not mistaken. And it saved me 7 grams, and that's fine by me. Full gram weenie, mission accomplished. Number 5, check this out. Bottle, knife, you take that sucker, you just cut the top off. There you go. Look at that. That is the perfect water scoop. You know, you're going to come across water sources whenever you're in the backcountry, and those little sawyer bladders that have that tiny little opening at the top don't work so hot. It takes a long time to keep trying to scoop and scoop and scoop that water in. But if you just cut off the top of a water bottle, you know, highly compressible, you take it, scoop your water, pour it into the bladder, and you're good to go. Now, another little bonus hack for you to do with this is those Sawyer bladders. If you have a Sawyer squeeze, which is just a filter, those bladders eventually for me have all busted. So I'll cut off the top of them and use those as a scoop as well. Number 6 on today's list, it's actually not to take a saw. Quite the contrary. You know, a lot of people take a saw with them, and I do on almost every trip. This is my favorite saw at the moment. It is the Silky Gom Boy. Absolutely great saw, even though I did break the tip off of it on my last trip. It's the second one I've broken, actually, because I'm a big old goober. Clumsy me, but sorry, backpacking with Jason. Didn't mean to break the tip off of your silky saw. But anyway, if you don't want to bring this extra, I think this thing weighs like 14 or 16 ounces, you can take 2 trees and process your wood using those 2 live trees. Let me give you an example. Tree number 1, tree number 2, they're in the ground, they're next to each other. I don't know, maybe a foot apart or so, or maybe even a Y in a tree. You can stick a separate piece that you're wanting to saw. You don't have a saw, so you're gonna break it. You stick it between the trees, and then you press and snap. Now, I would caution you, you might wanna stand behind that wood and pull it towards you instead of pushing, because I've seen people, they'll like shove the wood and then all of a sudden it bows back and throws them backward. I probably shouldn't laugh, but it's kind of funny, honestly, as long as nobody gets hurt. But yes, you don't have to take a saw. You can still process wood in the backcountry, even though they may be some larger pieces. Number 7 on today's list. I always take a paper map with me. Okay, but as you can see, this map, it's very big. It doesn't even fit into the frame of the camera. So what I do is, yeah, I'll still take this with me, and I stick it in a Ziploc bag so it doesn't get wet, or you can laminate it or what have you. Depends on your trip. I'll carry it with me, but instead of pulling the map out all the time and looking at it, I like to take a picture of it instead. Especially something like this. This is actually the Sheltowee Trace map, or at least a piece of it. And that runs through here in Kentucky. It's very long. So I'm not through hiking, I'm section hiking it. And it's divided up into sections on this map. So I can take just a picture on my phone of the section that I'm doing. I still carry the map with me. But while I'm walking, if I want to look at the map, I don't even have to stop and get it out. I just take my phone and look at that photograph. If you want the ultimate hack, save it as your lock screen on your phone. So then anytime you wake your phone, raise it to wake, all of a sudden you're looking at your map. Then you don't have to stop and waste the time of actually pulling it out of your backpack and taking it out of the Ziploc bag. You're welcome. Submit your hacks below in the comments. I would love to read them. If you've enjoyed, give me one of these. Subscribe to the channel and ring that bell. We'll see you in the next one.